No, I did not quit. Hey friends, welcome back to Two Bears Homestead. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you stick around and check out the other content and become a fan and follow us and like and subscribe. My name is Paul, the other bear is Rob, and if you're returning, welcome back. And thank you for joining us. And this video is mainly going to be addressing our absence from YouTube. No, we didn't quit. So just know that up front. No, we did not quit. It was a inadvertent, maybe intentional, unintentional time off. But today's October 1st as I'm recording this video. I actually had recorded this video about 3 weeks ago and turned the camera off, went on an appointment. Actually, I took my dad to a doctor, but we got to that doctor and then went straight to the hospital. So here we are 3 weeks later, or so, and that's just kind of how my life has been for the last 6-7 months. It's just do this, and suddenly we're way over here doing that. So it's been a little eventful, for lack of a better word. So here's what basically has been going on. So our absence was, again, intentional and unintentional at the same time, and it just came down to the point where we had to make a decision, or I made the decision, or it was made for me, by me. I don't know. I think you get where I'm going here. Is life just kept throwing these things at us, and so it was time, to just kind of focus on, the life that we have around us right now versus what our dreams are. Because even though we didn't lose sight of it, it was important that we have to address the here and now. So the last video I made was the video of St. Patrick's Day. And it was when I made the corned beef, I brined the corned beef and corned the beef. And I gotta tell you, it was amazing. So go back and watch that video because I highly suggest you do that. That was the best corned beef. And actually that St. Patrick's Day, which was on a Sunday of this year, and I had my father and his wife here, with her dementia. So it was nice to get him out and, be able to come. And they had a good time. But the corned beef was amazing. And even he said that. As an Italian-Irish New Yorker, he said it was the best corned beef he ever had. Was he blowing smoke up my butt? Yeah, you never know. It probably could have been. But I will say that I enjoyed the corned beef. And I actually made my corned beef, and then I had a small store-bought one that I cooked exactly the same way, but not together, because I wanted to do that comparison. And I will say, store-bought corned beef was just a little meh. So I encourage you to go back and watch that video. But that's not the intent of this video. But on that St. Patrick's Day, when my family was here and Dad was here, and I remember I think I had a friend here too. I don't remember, but at home at Rob's mother's house, Rob's mother and her husband, my father-in-law, he wasn't feeling well, so she took him to the hospital. And to cut through a very, very long story, is he was fully metastasized lung cancer that was on the brain, on the pancreas. I mean, he was just fully metastasized. So it took about 2 days to get the full diagnosis of all that. But once we saw that it was on the brain, we knew, at least I knew, that this wasn't going to be a good outcome. There was talk of possibly shrinking the tumor and all that, but it just wasn't to be. So we got the news about that 2 days after St. Patrick's Day on the 19th, on that Tuesday. So, so they didn't even have a chance to really prepare or get their affairs in order. Like, my father-in-law's name was Tony. He was just blindsided by it. Like, he wasn't feeling good, and and we knew that, but like, we just couldn't put our finger on, like, maybe he needed to change. There was just something off. Now we know what. So he was home for about 10 days, and then he he was laying on the couch watching TV, whatever he was doing, and he started having seizures. So I found out in hindsight, actually, what he was actually going through. He was in agonal breathing, which is where the body's responding. Like, his body was shutting down, so his body was responding, and he was basically on his way out. But I know what agonal breathing is, and but of course, my mother-in-law sees her husband on the couch having convulsions and such, so she calls 911, and so of course they resuscitated him and they, got him to the hospital, but he never really regained consciousness after that. So, so basically he went to the hospital. The decision was made that to remove him from life support a few days later, and then he was put in hospice, and then by the first week of first week of April, he passed. So it was a very difficult time for all of them, difficult time for the whole family. It was just out of the blue for most of them. It was just and I think it's the first real, in their family, the first real first real death, of the generation. So there was a lot of not knowing how to handle it. People are going to handle grief in their own way and so forth. So it was a rough time. But before that, Rob and I were up there like every weekend, working on. My mother-in-law was remodeling her kitchen. It's beautiful, but but it was just something that she wanted to do, and so we were doing that, and then we were like maybe 3/4 of the way in with the diagnosis. So it just made for just a very stressful time for everybody. So we got through that, but at the same time, going through all that, I'm still dealing with my father and dealing with, my father's an old man. He's going to be 89 in December. So it's dealing with his wife's dementia and everything that entails. So it's just been, a whirlwind. And, my father is as stubborn as they come. I just don't know how else to describe it. What it is, it's a man losing control of his life. He's, little by little, it's like death by 1,000 cuts kind of thing. Every day is an indignity against his, the mental acuity is there. Like, he understands, he can articulate, he's a decision maker, but, he's become fearful because, he's afraid of his body, he's afraid of falling, he's just these things that are, just so new and foreign to him, and it's beating him down. And then, and then his wife's dementia. My stepmother had a horrible childhood, and a lot of that stuff, it was poison in her brain. So it's, really manifesting into dementia. So it's really ugly from time to time. Although it's gotten better, it's just, they are where they need to be. They are in an independent living facility of assisted living. So when the time comes, the dementia ward is, or the memory care unit, whatever you want to call it, is where it's going to end up. So, but it's just, they're both in deteriorating health. And my father's having some issues. But I mentioned earlier, I went to this doctor's appointment with my father after I recorded the video that I originally intended, and, he's in the hospital now 3 weeks later. So, and the long and short of it was, he was at the doctor's office, and we thought he was having a stroke. Like, he started slurring his words, but it turned out it wasn't. It was, to make a very long story short, he had arterial blockages in his carotid, so he had to go through that procedure. And so that's not fun for an 88, 89-year-old man. It just really wiped him out. So it's been that kind of thing. Joan's been in the hospital in this last 6-8 months. Joan's been in and out of the hospital. My father's been in and out of the hospital, with Tony passing, and just one thing after another. So the conscious decision, unconsciously made, does that sound weird? Was, content had to wait. I mean, there was just no time, because even more layers to that is before I made that St. Patrick's Day video and the corned beef video, I had decided to get a part-time job. And the reason being is our health benefits through Rob's company, they were just deteriorating. Like, they were just less and less coverage, and the cost was going higher and higher. It got to the point where, even after employer contribution, Rob's contribution, or Rob's portion, it came out to be about $13,000 a year for the two of us. That's insane. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it's financially just not where it needs to be. And then back earlier in the year, when you're really studying the real estate market, and you can see where it's going, there is no rosy picture for the real estate market. I mean, I knew that, 8, 9 months ago that, this was going to be a tough year for real estate, and it's playing out that way in every sense of the word. So I made the decision to get a part-time job. Now I wanted to get a part-time job that, didn't cut the day in half. So I'm working for an airline in the morning, and I'm usually done by 10, 11 o'clock. So it works out well. I still have the rest of the day to do real estate or whatever. But it's actually a pretty cool job. And I'm actually going to start looking at it for full-time, because the reality is the medical benefits attached to a full-time job with this airline are markedly better than what Rob's getting at his company. And, and then our contribution, or our portion that would come out of my paycheck, will be like, it won't amount to $4,000 or $5,000 a year. So it's just going to be way better. So, but I have to get full-time first. So that's a decision that we're still working on. But in the meantime, the part-time job was to offset some of that cost of, the insurance, because, the deductibles are sky high. It's just all chipping away. And so we're debt-free. And we did incur some debt this year just because of, what the nature of what was going on. But we're by and large debt-free, because we sold the big house over in the Cape. We moved into this, mobile home and in this community. So, there are decisions that we made years ago that have benefited us this year. But the reality is, it's a tough year. So with all of that, content just had to wait. So, and again, I'm filming this on October 1st, so just last week at this recording, Hurricane Helene just went up the coast and just destroyed, the Big Bend of Florida, the Carolinas, Tennessee. Nobody's talking about what it did to lower Kentucky, and nobody's talking about, parts of Virginia, but it's a pretty massive catastrophe. So I really wanted to get, Dad's out of the hospital, and, some of the dust has settled. I really wanted to get this content made and address it, because I do want to get back in front of you and get back to our relationship that we've established and so forth. But I also wanted to address it head on, that, I knew, I knew I wasn't showing up for work on YouTube. But the reality is, if I had to do it all again, I'd probably do the exact same thing, because, family is first. But also, this is the hindsight of Hurricane Helene, is looking at what it did to the rest of our country. And you know what? There are bigger things going on, than, my lack of making content. But, and that sounded a little weird to say that out loud, but I just wanted to, get back in front of you, re-engage, and, just get back to, what's important, for our building of our future. So, I think that's about all I have to say. So hopefully you have some nice things to say in the comments. Be respectful, and and we'll get on to the next one. I do have some other talk style videos or chats coming up that I'm going to do, but I wanted to get this one up and running, and just like, we did not quit. We are still working on the goal of getting to our homestead, wherever it may be, and whether it's the Carolinas, Tennessee, Kentucky's really just gotten onto our radar too. Virginia's not, but Kentucky is for some reason. And then, even Missouri maybe, I don't know, but we're going to get out of Florida, but just got to wait for the right time to go, and and this is not the right time for us. So again, family first. So I appreciate you listening to my rambling. I don't know how long this is. I'm going to try to edit some of it out, but at the end of the day, I'm thankful that you're here. I'm thankful that you spend some time with me, and thankful that you follow me and that you subscribe, and hopefully you get to stick around for more. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks.